Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me once again. So today it's the big one. It's in more ways than one. It's the Wingnut Wings review of the AEG G4 late version bomber from World War One. This is an aircraft that was heavy bomber, one of the very first heavy bombers, but not as famous as its predecessor, the Gotha. People pronounce it Gotha, it's Gotha. The Gotha bomber was the one that of course bombed London repeatedly, but this aircraft was actually capable of carrying more bombs. It's not as well known. And of course AEG, the manufacturer, probably more well known to people today for making washing machines and the like, and toasters and things like that. We've actually got an AEG washing machine, and forgive my pronunciation because it won't be right, but it basically stands for Oxley-Modelling-Lab Geschäfte. Anyway, basically it's German electrical manufacturing is what it basically stands for. So these guys were makers of bombers in World War One. So let's take a look. Now, first thing to say about this, apart from the fact it's got this lower profile than the Gotha, which is the more well-known aircraft, it's kind of it's actually a lot more of a forgiving plane. A lot of the pilots would report that this is much easier to fly than a Gotha. Had more capability, easier to land and take off, so really quite popular with the pilots. Certainly those that have flown the other big bomber, I think, found this a bit of a relief. But let's take a closer look at the kit itself, which I'm sure is going to be a bit of a treat. Okay. Now then, it's a very big heavy one, this. On the side we have got quite a bit of blurb. Now then, it says, less famous than the Gotha G4, the 520 horsepower AEG G4, the Alemannia Elektrikerstaatsgesellschaft, I slightly mispronounced it. Oh, Gesellschaft Großflugzeug 4. So the last bit is Big Plane 4, which is, okay, so there's two G's. And it says the tactical and strategic bomber was nevertheless able to carry a heavier bomb load than the Gotha and was the easiest to fly of all the German First World War bombers. I suspect the aerodynamics might be the reason. It says the prototype rolled out on September 1916 and followed the first production machines in January of 1917. But it wasn't until after the middle of 17 that they were available for frontline units in any significant numbers. Initial deployment of tactical and strategic bombing during daylight. This was changed to night operations following substantial heavy losses due to enemy action. Oh dear. The AEG G4 features a sturdy welded steel tube frame assembly, tailplane and certain parts of the wings. Proved very popular with its crews. Two 260 horsepower Daimler Mercedes D4 engines were positioned in the cells between each wing, which enabled the G4 to carry upwards of 800 kilograms of bombs. The crew of three consists of a rear gunner, pilot and commander. So it's got only a slim crew of three, hasn't it? Early production AEG G4s featured twin PU bomb racks paired on the port side of the fuselage, and in the rear gunner's cockpit, and parabellum machine gun mounts running on rails. The late production version, as featured in this model kit set, had the twin PU bomb racks mounted on each side of the rear gunner's cockpit, and gun rings in both the front and rear pulpits with camouflage with dark night lozenge fabric. Like many other night operated aircraft, it had a very high attrition rate, with most being lost due to landing accidents, and production could never quite keep up with demand for the aircraft. And it pretty much ran out of time, this one, because by the time they were starting to get the numbers coming through, the armistice was signed, and that was the end of the war. First World War was over, Great War, and of course the Versailles Treaty forbid them from having these kind of aircraft after that. So I guess they were scrapped. Let's have a look at the kit. It's going to be a nice one, this, isn't it? It's got beautiful artwork, isn't it nice? Sort of a dusk takeoff there. Let's put that gently down and see what. Oh, there's a lot of plastic here, so bear with me, it's going to take a while. Where to begin? Gosh, there really is a lot of sprues. Jeez. They just keep on coming. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. I might have to rattle through it a bit. I suspect there'll be a lot of things that are duplicated, like the engines anyway. Got bombs. They look nice, proper bombs this time, not little flechettes. Big bombs. A real, one of the first ever heavy bombers, this one. And thank goodness we've got a proper instruction brochure, as I call them, and we've got massive, these are heavy, these are thick instructions, lots of decals, gosh. This is a serious kit, I'll tell you. Let's have a look gently across there and see what we got. So, see if I can get my lights to kick out the required amounts of light for us. Start with the decals, I think, like we usually do. I'll see if I can bring you in. This is a heavy, really heavy decal pack. Now I don't know why, if I'm being honest. I mustn't open the bag because this kit is worth a small fortune. It's worth about £400. You might pick it up slightly cheaper, but not much. So we've got a serious high value kit here. Now what I think we may have is, it's part of cartograph decals. We've got photo etch, but we seem to have got sheet after sheet after sheet. Yes, we have, of multiple. Let's see if I can separate them so you get a view of it. Yeah, we've got a lot of these night lozenge markings it talks about, I think is in the form of a decal. So that's really impressive. There's a lot of heavy decals there. So that's a serious decal pack if ever I saw it. Obviously a lot of the later style German crosses, which they sort of dropped the Christian cross style by the later part of the war. We've got some interesting graphics here. Let's just pull you in a bit so you can see this. Now then, can you see on the left there the white, which is going on a black background, remember? So we've got this like almost like a dragon, or it looks kind of like a sturgeon, like a fish's mouth. Quite an angry looking fish, to be honest. And we've got instrumentation, we've got quite a lot of decals, some really fairly impressive levels of decal detail there. There's a lot of stuff, but we can't open it, so I can't really show you too much more detail, but that's a very serious pack. I can understand why this is a bit more of an expensive kit, to be honest. Now then, here we go. Getting into the meat and potatoes of it with this very noticeably thick and heavy. We did talk about this in one of the earlier reviews about how beautifully printed it is, the research that they do, the photographs they produced, and also the fact that the paper is very thick paper. It's a super quality product, you know. I mean, these are instructions on kits when I've finished with most of them, with the exception of Tamiya parts, but most of them I just bin them. You wouldn't throw these away. This is like a book. It's got colour photographs, colour illustrations. It almost walks you through the bill that you've done, and it's a reference book in its own right, really. So it's something quite special. Let's have a look at from the front, and I'll bring you in a bit closer so we can see it a little better. So typically we've got the sort of colour call-outs, and we have Tamiya, Humbrol and Federal Standard on this side. Then over here, and I am struggling because of the sheer number of sprues here. In a second, I think I'm going to have to move a couple. We are struggling for space. There we go. Better. That's better. Then we've got the sprue trees as shown here, and there are quite a number of sprues. And indeed, I was right, because if you look on the second page, the black night camouflage, the lozenge camouflage, is indeed decals. So we have no less than 5 decal sheets that are big. That's why that decal bag is so heavy. So that is really interesting, isn't it? We've not seen that before. I don't think the others have had that. I don't think the Gota had that, not that I can recall. Not in the same way. So yeah, and we've also got the angry fish, as I described it, like a sturgeon. That's here too in black. You've got black or white options, so that's impressive. So that explains that. Let's get cracking then. So the interior. Let's have a look. We have got, starting with the commander's seat, and it's like a multi-level cockpit here. And obviously you've got a gun emplacement at the front. A gunner sits at the front, in front of the pilot. We've got the bomb racks, which you're making very early, and they're going in at the side, and they go down the side of the cockpit. We've got rather pleasant looking cushioned, another one of these cushioned seats for the pilot. Commander's seat here, and there's two seats that look like a bar stool almost. Again, quite amusing, some of these, when you look back, you know, the way that they were being quickly conceptualised. And you've got hand air pumps pressurising your fuel tanks, pilot's rudder bar, and then there's actually a photo, a very good one, look at this. Now there's a rare photograph. This shows the PUW bombs raining down onto a railway station, which is obviously either in the UK or France. See that? See the bombs dropping away? That's incredible. What a great photo. Gosh, so there you go. Some aerial photography going on here as well. Then we've got our interior of the cockpits being built up, and you've got, you know, starboard side bomb racks. Then you're building in the magazines for the gunner. There's a whole sort of row of magazines that he has here, so you can grab one and reload. Commander's rudder bar shown in its correct position. In stowed position. So it folds flat. Okay, that's clever. You've got the compass. You've got the fuel tank going in at the side here, and then we've got the PUW bomb rack on the side. It just shows the relative position of it there. It gives you an idea what it should look like once you've got it all installed. Now, some real photographs. And this is where Wingnut's so special. This is the one that's in the Canadian Aviation and Space Museum. So they've got, that's an interesting museum to visit, isn't it? Because that's, they've got Junkers, I think there's a couple of Junkers there, quite a few World War I aircraft. Instrument board, left side, right side, cockpit floor, fuel pump, shows these relative positions and how it should appear, which is always very helpful. Not to get too much glare on the image there for you. Then we move on. Zoom out a bit for this. So then we're on to the interior detail. Cut my words out. Interior details with the instrument panel, and we've also got the fixing of the seat belts here. That's going to be the one for the pilot behind his seat. We've got some of the internal rigging and the bomb release toggles, and again there's a lovely photograph of the actual product there. Common type safety belt, which is, as mentioned previously, is in the German Technik Museum in Berlin. Mannequin commander dances the tray pack while we get to see the black and light green grey nose section of the AEG G4. Although many small details are missing, this is a good reference photo showing the bomb release toggles. Okay. Then we're looking into the nose section where we have you can clearly see the bomb rack. You can see the rudder pedals here. You can see the gun turret here with its ring. Late style gun ring has probably been retrofitted. It does look more modern, doesn't it, somehow? Okay. But these photos are so invaluable. We've got LMG 1417 Parabellum machine gun going in here. Quite a weapon, aren't they? I mean, it looks too modern to be World War I somehow in my mind. Don't know what you think. And you've got your drum, your big Parabellum bullets drum, and then you've got your internal rigging guide and an interior photo of the lozenge fabric. That internal rigging looks a little bit tricky. So then you get your fuselage sides coming together, and you've got your top coving area above the cockpit and the gunner's position, and you've got your front coving then going on here for front gunner. Apply camouflage decals to the gloss painted surface, not just clear coated, before assembly. Yeah, in other words, make sure it's smooth to get them to stick down well. It's going to be a bit tricky, I think, that is those decals. But anyway, here we have an unidentified AEG G4 that's met not too unexpected end, which has crushed the commander's canzel, but left the remaining fuselage intact. I have a horrible feeling that he didn't survive this, because that's really serious damage there. Another one shows second crash here. Same again, really. Again, typical of the sort of accident it seems to suffer, where it goes, you know, nose over rear, so to speak. And then there's another one here showing on the crash landing. I think his undercarriage is collapsed. And then we've got the fuselage we're building up here, when you've got your inboard lower wings. A couple of shots of one in flight, and then it shows the bracing struts that brace the lower wing. It says here, there's a photo here, September 1918, and demonstrates why the commander would leave his canzel in the nose to sit in relative safety next to the pilot during takeoff and landings. Okay, so he would duck underneath and sit next to the pilot. There's a second seat, of course. And in the nose is where they have this sort of, well, looks like a stool. And then you're building up your Daimler engine, 260 horsepower Daimler-Benz, Daimler Mercedes I should say engine. Straight line, inline, 260 horsepower, 6-cylinder, quite a meaty engine. I think this is quite similar to the one that was in the Junkers, if I'm not mistaken. Got your radiators going on. Of course you're doing this all twice, because there's two of them, port and starboard. And then you're building up the bodywork around it, which looks quite neat. Aero fairing. Certainly more aerodynamic than that the Junkers J1 that we just mentioned. There's partially cowled starboard engine nacelle from an unidentified hexagon camouflaged G4. Note the notch in the exhaust to clear the rigging wire. Gosh, so they've actually cut a notch in the exhaust so the rigging wire can actually be taut. Yeah, got a bit of the design wrong there, I think. Slight design error. Then you're putting in all your mounting support structure. That's the mounting points for the engines itself. And you've got your exhaust manifold going on there. Then you actually put them in, starboard and port. Then you're onto the tailplane and vertical stabiliser fin. It looks quite elegant, doesn't it? It doesn't look like that Junkers. Rudders going on, and then you're building up your undercarriage, which doesn't, obviously there's two lots of undercarriages here, it doesn't look that meaty somehow, does it? I would have expected it to be a bit more, I don't know, a bit more heavy duty, a bit more robust perhaps. And there's a crashed one there showing the displaced axle and suspension spring. You can see the details. And that's what it should look like when you've got it all on. And then we're on to some of the detail work now. So we've got the rings for the machine gunner, the front gunner and the rear gunner. It says the rear gun is often removed for night bombing operations. Yeah, I guess that they just don't need it. They're not going to shoot at the ground because they can't see anything, I suppose. And you've got little windscreens, little tiny windscreens that go in front of both of the commander and the pilot. And then you've got commander's gun ring at the front going on there. And you've got the optional bomb loads. This is where it gets quite interesting. Let's bring in a bit of this. So here we've got different bomb loadouts and different sizes of bombs. So you've got the very small one, 50 kilograms. You've got 12.5 kilograms, the light ones, and you've got 100 kilograms. That's the really big fat ones that are in the centre here. So it's almost like a modern aircraft in that respect. And it shows, there's an example from a photograph there of the way that the racks have been set up. In that case it matches the first illustration. And then you can see the way the rack is actually mounted here onto the underside of the fuselage, and which bits have got to go where for which loadout. Then we've got the bottom wing and the struts going in, and there's quite a bit of detail work to do here. It's going to be a tricky kit. This is going to take you a lot of time, I think. Central fuel tank, which sits under the top wing. They did put them in some silly places, didn't they? I suppose it's lack of space though, isn't it, really? You've got navigation lights that are on the struts, which is quite interesting. And then you've got your cabane struts that are going to fix the top wing onto the main fuselage and meeting the structural mounting points for the lower wing. Zoom you back. It's quite a big page, is this. Then you've got your tail skid support trolley, which is how it's used when it's about to take off. They have a little trolley. They wheel it around, obviously, otherwise you won't be able to wheel it backwards. There's an artificial horizon. Shows how the wings then go on. You plug in basically your starboard and port outer wing. Ailerons go on, and then you're onto your propellers, and you've got again various different options. And there's an anemometer. Sadly, this one doesn't come with a fish around it like we had on that Roland. And then a bit of a rigging guide. Just see me back a bit. Rigging guide. Fair bit of rigging on this. This is going to take time. Bit of a scary one, I think. Always worries me. I'm terrified of getting it all wrong, you know. And then we've got some of the finished product. We've got the various schemes that are available. So we've got this lozenge dark bomber, nighttime bomber look to it, and here we got it with like a shark mouth. This is late 1918, so this is right at the end of World War One, you know. So it's probably too late to have much impact on this aircraft, really. But it is quite a mean looking plane. It does look very aerodynamic, though, doesn't it? The shaping looks good. You know, it doesn't look clumsy or ridiculous. It's just a big, chunky plane. And here is the photo of the one with the shark's mouth we just talked about. It says, look at the spectacular and unusual nose art, which features a shark mouth. What little can be seen of the colour scheme combined with the style of the modified rudder and fuselage, it's probably an early aircraft from the same production batch as A or B. It goes on to say you can do your own interpretation because there's so little known about some of the schemes, really, beyond what's shown. White 7 has had a terrible crash here. The 6th production batch in April 18 met a fate common amongst nighttime bombers. The factory applied post-June 1918 Balkenkreuz, that's the German cross, on the top wings. So the top wing is just like a straight black wing. Balkenkreuz. And then we've got the November 18, well, this is literally the last week or two of the war. And again, similar sort of style. This has got the Balkenkreuz but with the white, it's got a little white surround to it, margin. And then we've got several of them showing them after the armistice. Under guard after the armistice. Note the dusty and faded appearance of the fabric. Because of the armistice, of course, they weren't allowed to fix them or use them or re-equip them or anything else. And following the armistice, here we got a walk round of the AEG, one of the late ones that was produced, and this is at Bickendorf. Front view, front quarter view, three-quarter view, rear view. Yeah, it sort of looks like a fighter that's been scaled up, this aircraft, doesn't it? It doesn't look like a big separate design. That's probably what made it quite a nice thing to fly. It probably had fighter-like, so albeit slightly more sluggish, but similar aspects to the way it performed. It gives you an example there of some of the camo. It says, this one is shown in British hands following the armistice, and the lozenge fabric patterns are almost completely obscured by dark tinted varnish. And it says, note the distinctive AEG aileron shape, this sort of fluted aileron that they have. And then circumstances surrounding the destruction, near or complete destruction of these two is not known, but it's thought that bomb damage is quite likely. And that's at Sultan in France. It sounds like the British bombers got there first. And there's a captured one here on display in Paris, would you believe? That's incredible. It says an interesting diorama idea for the 520 horsepower Daimler Mercedes engines. Towed by cow power. And then lastly, another view of a destroyed one. Another view of the one that was shown opposite. That must have been bombed. And then it finishes off with the great heroes from Wingnut Wings who made all this possible. Sadly no longer there, the company. The company no longer exists, sadly. So, another beautiful brochure-like instruction manual which we will pop away safely. Now let's look at the plastic. Now we trust that there are none that have popped out of the bags, like there was one out of the bag in the Roland, I don't know why. So we've got some clear, we've got some clear glass on the top of the, it goes on the top of the coving, doesn't it? And then you've got these two little windscreens that we talked about. Let's bring you in. Very nice, typical, nice and clear, quality Wingnut Wings presentation. And there we have it. I think I'm going to remove the extra lights because it seems to cause us lots of problems with reflection. There we go, that's better. So you can see that nicely. Then we've seen, I'll rattle through some of these because some of these we've seen before. So this is the typical Wingnut Wings Parabellum sprue with the Parabellum machine guns on it, which is common to quite a few of their kits. You see it with and without the jacket. And when it's without, you actually, of course, like here, you actually use the photo etch to wrap it around for the cooling jacket. What's that one? I think there might be more than one of those. There's two of them. In fact, there's three because I've got that many guns, so I'll just skip that one. And then we have got, again, multiples, so we only show you one, which has got the best bag, I think that one has. So here we're looking at the Daimler Mercedes engine, 260 horsepower. And again, very nicely rendered, with beautiful detail at the sump here, main engine, cylinder heads. It's yeah, it's been done pretty well, hasn't it? To be honest, it's too close. You can see here that it's got some very fine sort of little cooling vanes on the bottom of the sump there, and you've got your cooling tubing here from the radiator. Looks very nice. Two of those. 1, 2. Make sure I get this all back in the bag. It's quite tricky. And then the coving. So we've got the front coving here, the ring for the machine gun, and this is the rear coving for the other gunner's position, because again it's got the ring, so you can tell. And then the rings themselves are on here, as you can see. It's very, very good. So look at the great detailing here. Lovely moulding quality. Everything that you expect and more, perhaps. Now then, a big, big sprue. So I have to zoom you out for this. Any more small ones? More small ones. No? Nope, they're all big now. Okay, we'll zoom out for this. There we go. And here we've got lots of the framework, and we've got some very nice details here. Look at the way that this has been done. You can see that we've got the whole sort of shaping. There we go, see it there. The shaping of the sort of front bodywork, this tubular framework that they referred to. Then we've got all the struts here. Many parts there. You have to be a little bit careful when you cut these off, because they have actually, a little bit unwisely for Wingnut Wings, they have actually attached the sprue gate contacts right in the middle of right in the middle of the part, which is not like them. That's a little bit tricky. You have to be very careful with that, I think. Perhaps they didn't feel they could put it any other way. And then we've got this rather nice sort of fluted framework that goes near the cockpit here. Very nice. Goes in there. And we got a monster. This is the sides of the fuselage. It's big, it's huge. So we have the centre of the cockpit there. We've got the sides here. This is where your bomb racks go here. You can make that out with that range. There we are, the bomb racks here. And then you've got your fuselage. And this is, again, it's a combination of wood and canvas, the aircraft in the main. So it's not one of these all metal affairs, because obviously it would make it just too heavy. So fairly conventional, but again, some fine detail work. Look at these levers you can see here, which I actually missed when I looked at this before. Look at the levers. Those are really cool, aren't they? So there's all sorts there. You've got, it looks like they are various control levers. Very nicely done, beautifully moulded. And then we got, this is a monster. Then we've got the wing section, the inboard sections of the wing. Looks like it's upper and lower. Here's where the pilot sits, this is his bit here. And this is where the two little windscreens go in. And you've got, there's actually a second piece there which looks like it's, maybe there's an optional piece because it seems to be the same or very similar. No, I think not. I think this is slotting into there. So this is a piece of coving that is just a bit further back. See, I tell I'm not that familiar with the plane. But yeah, and then you've got this wonderful ribbing, feel the ribbing. That's very, very nice. Very well done indeed. Beautiful. As always, you know. No surprising. Look at this, the wings themselves now then. And they're quite thick. But look at the way wings, you know, this is not an easy thing to mould because it's extra thick, it's big and heavy. But you know, it's not warped, it's not bent, it's beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Look at that. You can feel the ribs all the way along. It's got a wonderful texture to it. Underside it's the same, heavily ribbed. Very, very nice. And of course here you've got your tail section. Lots of reflections, aren't we, today? Tail section there. And the actual rudder here. Which is very nice. Nice shape as well. Very pleasing to the eye, this one. Not like the strange junkers we saw the other day. And then here we've got some more of this detail work. So we've got propellers. Many propellers. Various different options there. Two different designs actually, I think. And we've got the sort of proper bombs here. And then you've got various parts of the exhausts here, there. Some more of this framework that we spoke of here. And then you've got the actual bodywork, so the outer bodywork here. And you've got various mounting points. I think this is the mounting for one of the chairs that looks like a stool. And you've also got your rudder pedals there. And yeah, lots of beautifully moulded parts, just perfect. There's no flash on them, there's no warping, there's no broken parts, nothing is wrong with them at all. Stunning. Well, that's actually a duplicate, so let's skip that one. I think there might be a couple like this. In fact there's two lots of duplicates here, so I'll skip that one and show you the next instead. Here we are. So here again we've got bombs, lots of bombs. Yes, so we've got this, what is it, 12.5 kilo bomb, 50 kilo bomb and 100 kilo bomb, so quite a big jump. Then you've got your, looks like your elevator, tailplane and elevators here, and again, some serious bombs. Beautifully moulded, you know, the whole bomb is moulded. It's got detail on it, little rivets on it, smashing. Then we've got the little 12.5 kilo flechettes here. These don't seem to have a nose on them. They must be, yeah, maybe it's just the way it's presented. Or maybe those parts are elsewhere. Obviously we've got our undercarriage wheels here, which are all very nice. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, it's got Continental written on them. I hope you can see that. You probably see this better than I can actually, if I zoom in. Keep the reflections off. Can we see that? It's Continental. Yep. Beautiful. Nice sprue, that one. And that just leaves us with two more. So, what have we got here? Oh, we've got the seats and okay, internal stuff. We've got seats. So here's the pilot's seat. Padded seat. We have also got the steering wheel, if I can find it. Yes, there we go. No, we've gone the wrong way. Sorry. Where are we here? I seem to have got lost. There we go. Steering wheel. And we've got lots of little controls. We've got these bomb rack system here. There, sorry. Bomb racks. It's such a massive sprue, I'm getting lost. There we go. And instrumentation here. Oops, there. Some of the controls, it looks like, is this bit here. It's like the control wires where they all come into the cockpit, I think. Then we've got another exhaust here. Here and here, exhausts. And the ailerons, these rather graceful looking swooping aileron design, very curvy, isn't it? Not the usual thing at all. Very nice. Excellent. A lovely sprue. And then, last but not least, so many parts in this kit. We've got the main lower wings, it is in fact, the lower wings, which I'll have to zoom you out for, otherwise we'll never see it. There we are. The lower wings, you can tell it's the lower wings because it's got the struts there for it. Obviously it's rounded that way and the struts come up to support the upper wing. And then what looks like the fuel tank, I think. No, it's the nacelle, sorry. This is the nacelle for the engine, I think. It's two engines, the lower nacelle. Protects the sump. And here's the bodywork. It's the sort of cowlings that goes around the motors. And then we have a prop as well here. A prop. That is that. Sorry, if you can hear the noise in the background, it's actually hailstoning here. We've had bits of snow threatened and now it's hail. We're having every bit of weather you could possibly imagine. Anyway, I'm going to put my lights back on so we can see what we're doing. Zoom you back out. Yes, as I've mentioned in a couple of these videos, we're having some very unseasonal winter-like weather in the UK at the moment, and it's not looking too good at the moment, I've got to tell you. I can't see that I'll be giving up my nice warm sweater anytime soon. Right, sorry that was a bit long, it's inevitable with such an absolutely massive kit. It's big, you know, it is big. What a beauty though, you know. A much sort of underrated aircraft for its time. Easy to fly, easy to take off, easy to land. Not sure about the wisdom of making them a nighttime bomber, but obviously they felt that the attrition rate at the time was against them. At the end of the day, this plane probably came out a year too late to help the Germans anyway. If it come out in 1916, I think they could have been in a bit of trouble because they would have been quite effective. By the time it did come out, we had some very advanced fighters then, you know. We had the Sopwith Camel, we had the triplane, and the SE5, and the Sopwith Snipe, and all these really quite advanced planes that were very fast for manoeuvre, shooting these out of the sky. Because whilst it was a good plane, it wasn't that fast, especially when it's laden up with one of these heavy bomb boats. It's never going to get away, is it? No chance. Anyway, there we go. A beautiful kit, absolutely 10 out of 10, no questions whatsoever. Sorry we couldn't open the bags, obviously, but at the end of the day, these are, you know, this is like gold dust now. I mean, this is £400 in the UK. Plus, they're getting rarer and rarer. So if you want to bag yourself one of these, try and find, let's hope that some, I don't know, uncle or someone that maybe leaves you some, you know, if they in their inheritance or something, because it's either that or pay a lot of money to get your hands on one via eBay or whatever. Hope you found it was interesting. I actually learned a bit. I didn't know much about this aircraft, didn't know anything about it really. Quite interesting. It's, doing these reviews, it's amazing how much you pick up and you learn a lot of stuff that probably a third or a half of it I never knew before, so it's very interesting indeed. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for joining me. Please give us a thumbs up. Give us 10 out of 10 as well, if you would. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, because you'll get early warning of anything that's going to pop up. And if you have subscribed already, it's very important that you ding the notification bell, especially when sometimes I'll upload a video 2 or 3 days before it's due to go out, so you need to get the notification. Beyond that, for the time being, well, we continue to suffer this winter-like weather here. I think I'll probably get back to do some modelling. So I just say to you all, stay warm, like me, stay safe. Thank you very much for joining me, and until next time, thanks a lot, bye for now.